struggling clubs. We begin in Miami, where it's that AFC East showdown between the division's bottom two teams, the 1-2 Bills, the 0-3 Dolphins. Miami has looked like anything but last year's AFC East rep in the playoffs and has to play the rest of the season without starting quarterback Chad Pennington. So while the Bills may be struggling, at least they are not the Dolphins. For that reason, we are focusing in on Miami in this one. Jeff Darlington of the Miami Herald is with us now. Jeff, Chad Henne steps in with very little NFL experience. What should we expect to see from him?
Well, Dana, don't forget this team has long been invested in Henne's potential. Last year, at this same time, the offensive coordinator, Dan Henning, came into the media room as Joe Flacco and Matt Ryan were both succeeding as young quarterbacks last year, and we asked him if he felt like Chad Henne would be doing the same if he were in the game. Henning said absolutely felt like that Chad Henne had the same potential as Flacco and Ryan. Yesterday, Henning came in, same question, and he stood by his response, said he does believe that Chad Henne has the ability and the potential to be a star in this league. Chad Henne will take this team to the next level, and they believed that when Pennington was in the game last year, so absolutely they've invested a lot of potential in Chad Henne.
The Dolphins off to an 0-3 start. Give us some idea if there's any panic there and what they need to do to turn the season around.
Well, I'll give you an example of how this team is kind of responding to the 0-3 start. Last year, on their long flight home from Arizona, Tony Sperano and the quarterback's coach David Lee were on the plane together discussing how they could turn things around. They invented the Wildcat at that point, decided to go forward with it the next week against the Patriots. This year, on the flight home from San Diego, Sperano said it wasn't quite the same. They didn't feel the need to get as creative. What they did spend their time doing was breaking down film. This comes down to execution. They feel like they have the pieces in place and the strategy in place to succeed, but they're not executing the way they did last year, which is being seen by the amount of turnovers and the lack of discipline on offensive defense at this point.
Doesn't sound like a team that's panicking. How about Chad? What's the latest on his injury and the surgery, also his NFL future?
Well, I said earlier in the week that he would be getting a second opinion from Dr. Andrews today. Now, Chad got some more information before seeing Andrews, decided to go ahead, talk to Andrews about going forward with the surgery. Now, he does believe that he might also have a torn labrum, so he'll go up there today. Andrews will decide once he gets into the shoulder whether he needs to scope it or actually cut and perform a more major procedure on him, and that will impact whether Pennington decides whether to come back or not. It depends on what the rehab program is going to be, but he told his trainer, Charles Patron, to be ready in January to get him going so that he can be ready to play next season. So Chad Pennington not done yet, he believes.
Certainly a guy who knows how to come back. Jeff Darlington from the Miami Herald. Jeff, thank you.
Thank you, Dana.